more time. I'm passing it to Morten to introduce us to EIT Climate-KIC. Thank you so much.
Yes, hello everyone, and good afternoon to the ones joining us from Asia. My name is Morten Kielland Sørensen. I'm joining from Copenhagen this morning. I'm just giving you a brief introduction to what we're doing at EIT Climate-KIC, and you're all also very welcome to put your questions in the chat. And as a European Climate Innovation Agency, we were launched back in 2009. So we have been existing for more than 15 years, and we have a mission in order to focus on system innovation, and also we want to change both the place-based but also the industrial value chains by 2030. So we specialized in what we call system innovation. That can be very tricky to understand, but we look at just not small incremental changes that we can often see from very specific startups, but we try to look at the whole system, the whole ecosystem, and how we can transform these incremental changes to become part of a more systematic change. And that is both within the different verticals of the industries, but also in terms of looking at the people, the sectors, and especially the value chains. How can all these intertwine in order to make the innovative connections and make this happen? So as you can imagine, we do not do this on our own. We do this together with our partners. And our partners we see as a very important part of this, because we can at a global scale do a lot, but it's often at the local ecosystem level where there is the needs both to accelerate the local opportunities, but also, of course, create these changes within the mindsets. And here you can just see we have different partner networks that we're focusing on, and that's from some of the more larger global corporates that sees the opportunity to work with us, both in terms of the different industries, but also on city level within countries, then of course also at the European level, but globally as well. So we have here a very important part also in connecting the different opportunities, both in terms of the funder, but also in terms of making these be implemented. This is just an overview from where our partners are located here in the beginning of 2024. It is a map that is evolving constantly. We're very keen on expanding to covering the whole world, you could say. But as you can see for this map, we are very active in Europe, of course. We have been expanding a lot in Africa, in Latin America, and now we have a very keen focus also on supporting what we define as Asia. A little bit on our track record. As I mentioned, we have insisted since 2009. Since 2017, we have been supporting quite a lot of what we define as climate positive startups. That has both been able to attract funding, but also being able to identify the opportunities to collaborate together with our partners. So it is all in all a very complex overview you have here with more than 6,000 startups. But what we are mostly proud of, I would say, is the full-time jobs that have been created during this period. And just to give you a short overview also of what is it that you can then get out from the EIT Climate-KIC. So we offer 3 different elements within what we define as entrepreneurship solutions and venture. We're focusing on capacity building. This we've seen is a very important element in terms of supporting both our partners that we define as entrepreneurship support organizations, in order to make sure that the startups, they get the right mindset, but also the right competences in terms of making the transitions happen. The venture scaling, of course, that's where we have our keen focus together with you. And this is both in terms of changing and innovating the mindset of the innovators, but here also, again, we as a climate-focused organization, we are very keen on supporting startups that actually can change the world into being more climate positive and have a positive impact in terms of CO2 savings. And the last part is the innovation clusters. Here we are focusing also on how can we then engage and interact with the local ecosystems in order to create a better opportunities within the local ecosystems. And this we do again together with multiple stakeholders in order to realize these opportunities. So this is from our small world, how we look at the classical way of entrepreneurship stages. So today we are focusing a little bit in the middle that we call Climate-KIC. However, we are aware that there is stages happening before within ideation and incubation. We have our own programs here, but we are also aware that there are a lot of other programs that can support entrepreneurs and innovators in the initial stages. Our focus is on the acceleration today. We are also looking into what can then happen afterwards, because we have seen a lot that acceleration of startups have a start and an end, but it also often happens that then they're left on their own to their own solutions without having a clear path forward. What we have created is a marketplace for investors in order to make sure that we can then also matchmake the innovative solutions with the potential investors. And we are also at the moment in the phase of setting up what we define as a 1.5 fund. The 1.5 fund is focusing on investing in predominantly the startups that have been through the Climate-KIC programs. This is still in, you could say, in action of being operational later this year, but we see a keen interest that this can become a vehicle for also then investing and taking keen interest in the startups that often have difficulties on continuing their journey after being accelerated. Next slide. Yeah, so this is just to put it rather simple. We put it focus on the entrepreneurship supports by the different elements within how we can support the startups and scale-ups. And we do that through the different stakeholders within our network. And then, of course, what is always the key point for both us and partners is then who is going then to fund this. And here we are often in dialogue with you as local partners and how we can support you of making sure that both the local ecosystem and ideally also some within our network can then support making this happen. And I think I will pass on the word to Krista.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Morten. Thank you for the overview. So that was climate entrepreneurship in general at EIT Climate-KIC. Now I'm going to take you into the little more detail of our Climate-Accelerator program, which is why you are all here. So just to give you an overview, you've already met me, Alex, and Morten, but we actually have a much bigger team working on this program at EIT Climate-KIC. We have a dedicated impact team and as well an investment team, and we have colleagues who are really focused on building the communities around the Climate-Accelerator. So to give you a little bit more detail of this program, as Morten mentioned, with the support of partner organizations like yourself, we run these programs in local contexts around the world. Some of them are theme-based and some are place-based. And so The ones that we're looking to kick off at the end of this year will, of course, be in some of the Asian countries that we mentioned and also in Europe. And we've been running this program now for over 10 years. And so through that, we've developed a very good proven methodology to provide startups with the resources, knowledge, and network. Network is really the key to this, to kickstart their solutions. And we have a few data points at the bottom you can see. We encourage the ClimAccelerator organizers to follow this 3-stage model as closely as possible. This is starting with business model development, where you have the startups really defining and developing their specific USP and their business model. Then on to stage 2, which is customer traction. So having the teams understand how they can acquire customers. They go through an iterative process of the business model validation here and work with coaches and mentors. And then lastly, we have the investor readiness. That's stage 3. So making sure that they are prepared for the future of investment rounds and for larger scaling. So what does it take to run a program? So we don't ask for much, but we do want all of us to be sort of singing from the same songbook. And that really relies on you using our incorporated branding and your materials, using as much of the core DNA as possible, sharing your startup and climate impact data. I'll go in a little bit more into the climate impact data, connecting to your local community, and then sharing best practices with other ClimAccelerator organizers. The whole idea is that we are learning from each other to deliver the best possible programs. So this is now why you should do it. Well, the thing is, we give you a lot of support in helping you run these programs. As I mentioned before, branding is a big one. So your accelerator program becomes part of this bigger story that is powered by EIT Climate-KIC. And of course, we're affiliated with the EU. We have countless tools for you to use. This is everything from program management tools to our coaching and mentoring networks, our investor networks, our learning modules. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. You also have the ability to use our climate impact tool and work with our impact team. This is a tool used to assess and validate the climate impact of the startups. Then, of course, you become part of the EIT community. This is a community that we've been growing, as Morten said, since 2009. We are all over the globe and have worked with countless partners in the innovation space. Again, reach, so connecting with local agents to, this actually might be for, this is more for the startups, but for them to significantly boost their deal flow and global reach. You also have the opportunity to link up and exchange with other organizers. As I mentioned, we're really trying to foster a community of best practices. And we provide scaling assistance, as Morten mentioned, through these pipelines and our climate safe, which we will go into a little bit more detail. So as I mentioned before, you have many tools and educational modules at your disposal. We've developed these and tweaked them and perfected them over the past years. They are modules that give your startups a really good comprehensive overview of running businesses, but also the idea is that we have a specific climate lens, of course. So everything from gender, making sure that diversity, equity, and inclusion is integrated into how the business is run, understanding the bigger goal, which is really to change systems to make an impact, to make sure that the startups are thinking about this from the onset. Then we have more general topics Oops, I'm losing the slide. General topics. So best practices for business models, developing communication strategies, everything from learning and evaluation frameworks and strategies for you and sense making as well. And then the modules for the startups are everything from climate and environment to impact circularity. So these really go more into detail on specific themes and thematics. And if you have any other specific questions on these, we can go into more detail, but this is just to show the wide and comprehensive overview of the educational tools that we have available for you and for the startups. As I mentioned before, Climate-KIC is at the core very much committed to impact. And so we have developed a impact team within our entrepreneurship team that is developing a suite of services for measuring and forecasting and monitoring a wide range of environmental and social metrics. So this is everything from emissions mitigation potential to understanding how circular a startup is, or how they contribute to adaptation and resilience, for example. And so for the program, if you run a ClimAccelerator, the climate impact pre-assessment is obligatory. This is mandatory for the startup to share their results. And we assist you with this process. And then if you would like to do or procure a more in-depth validation of this, we offer this for a fee, but this is a much deeper dive into, it's essentially a life cycle analysis. And we do workshops and one-on-one coaching sessions, and then these results are validated by a third party. This is really helpful for the startups to have these results because they can then use it to speak with investors, to essentially validate that their product is more or less impactful, or has more or less emissions mitigation potential than services or products that are currently on the market today. Gender mainstreaming is also very near and dear to Climate-KIC's DNA. We've been focused on this more recently, I would say, in our development, but it's something that we're very focused on now. We use this term to mean including a gender lens into all of the work that we do. So this is everything from eliminating gender bias in the selection process. So this, in your case, the selection process, what we're really trying to achieve is a target of at least 35 women-led startups in the program, with this target growing every year to reach 50%. And also ensuring inclusivity of non-binary and other marginalized groups. We have developed specifically a Gender Smart Handbook to help you integrate all of these tools. And we have just released last month a Gender Smart Handbook for startups as well. Then, of course, we have branding and promotion. This is sort of my realm as a communication manager at EIT Climate-KIC. So as I mentioned before, clear co-branding is very much encouraged. Luckily for you, we have a brand guide, a digital toolkit, and templates for you to use in order to ensure that your program has the same look and feel as all of the other ClimAccelerators running around the world. And what we're here to also do is to help increase your reach and visibility. So that's partly my job. So we promote your open calls for startups on our dedicated LinkedIn channel. We also have startup alumni groups and newsletters. We have a dedicated programs page, and we support you with storytelling, writing articles, press releases, etc. Anything to do to help increase your reach and visibility of the program. So that is a little overview of what the ClimAccelerator is. I will now pass it to Alex, who will go more into the technical details of the call.
Yes, thank you, Krista. I'm that guy. So now let's discuss a bit more about all the application, the procedure, the next step, and specifically what we are looking for this round, for this call. So the most important thing is, as Morten already mentioned before than Krista, that it's these accelerators, these initiatives are theme-based. Of course, there are multiple actions across this great topic that it's called climate change. But for this round, for this expression of interest, we have identified three main thematic areas for you in general, for all of our partners. The first one is the agriculture, the second one is the industrial decarbonization, and the third one is the blue economy. You can read in the slides all these subsectors that we have identified. They are the key objectives in order to create these and deliver these accelerators. For example, we have regenerative farming for agriculture, sustainable supply chains or soil health enhancement. For the industrial decarbonization, direct greenhouse gas emissions, clean energy, electrification, storage, synthesis, and so on. And the same goes for the blue economy. Just to give you an idea, the previous round was about the circularity, circular practices, and clean energy. So for this round, we said maybe we open it up a bit more. So that's why we have included these, the other two, agriculture and blue economy. So besides the theme place, the theme that we have identified, there are specific criteria that you need to meet. The first one is that, as we have already said in the beginning, there are specific list of countries and regions that you need to operate from day to day and have your offices, headquarters, or in general you have access to the market and the local ecosystem in each of these areas. Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Vietnam, Malaysia, Laos, Nepal, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Australia, Indonesia, and Hong Kong. So besides that, we are looking for, as we call the ESOs in Climate-KIC in all of our channels, the entrepreneurship support organizations. So in other words, your profile. Everyone is welcome to apply if you have already experience with running an accelerator or an incubator. If you are a venture builder, if you're coming and working in a university and research institutions, or in general, you are more than welcome to submit a joint consortium applications. And as you can read in the slide, and as you can read in the asterisk, we are strongly recommend to find a partner, collaborate with someone else from your local network that has all the funds and the skills to help you both on delivering but also co-funding, which is the most important element for this program, in order to deliver it. Besides that, there's some few things. There are only 2 slides, so it's not that much that you need. What you need to do. The first one, as Krista already introduced to us, is to integrate the ClimAccelerator branding in your materials. You will gain a lot from this, being part of these global initiatives, and for that reason, we have already all these templates and the branding guidelines. The second one, which is strictly connected to the first one, is to offer a standalone program. We don't want a program just to combine it with some of your already existing initiatives that you have. Maybe organization, maybe in your business. We need the standalone program, a new program with a unique name and scope, a theme. Of course, one of the themes that we discussed before. Regarding the timeline, you are expected to start working on the ClimAccelerator, start implementing all these body guidelines, identifying the plan, where you want, for how much you want to integrate this 3-stage model, as Krista explained before. So in order to do that, it requires some time also for us to online as well. So early 2025, I think this is an ideal and realistic timeline that you can integrate in the program. And then a few things. There are 5 things that we're looking for at the startups. The first one, it's for you to support a minimum of 7 startups per program batch. We don't want to run really small programs. We want them to run at least want to support at least 7 startups, so we can have like a diverse feedback and also making significant change in the local ecosystem. So these few 5 bullets, it's connected to the profile of the startups, ideally who can apply to this. The first one, and the most important, is that all the startups must be officially and legally incorporated and registered. We don't want to work with open entrepreneurs or idea makers. We want people that have already made the progress. They already like know what they are doing in the country and the region. So we want like to work only with those people. Established within the last 5 years. Also, we don't want someone that has stuck in this phase for more than 5 years in the startup phase, and because they don't show don't know signs of growing or scaling. Then the minimum TRL4, in order to integrate the 3-stage model. The first one, of course, is the business model development. So we believe that a startup around the TRL4, which is technology validated in lab, now it's the certain point to move from the technical aspect in order to start accessing the market. The last one, of course, is offer a scalable solution, and then it's their commitment to have at least 2 members to actively participate in the program. Of course, that really depends of how intense the program will be, if it's going to be from week to week or bi-weekly or even monthly in some cases. So that's the first slide. I don't think there are like that much. The second one, it's the climate impact, and that goes to the report clear impact calculations from the climate impact pre-assessment and assessment that Krista already mentioned. We need some data. The startup will work on those, and also for that reason, we will have a dedicated EIT Climate-KIC member, one of our colleagues, to help with all the process in order to report all those data. It's like a mini homework that the startups need to do after the webinar. And the same thing about the reporting goes for you. You need to share all the core data about accepted startups, the profiles, who are they, the emails, if they are like human-led or not, what's their theme, and so on. The last two, it's the community branding, increasing the reach of the ClimAccelerator by promoting the brand in your local context about other initiatives in other regions. Krista, I think, already like mentioned that. And the last one is that all official communication must be conducted in English. The first thing that I would like to say about that is that we understand that, for example, including mentors or trainers in the program, in some cases, you would like to integrate the local language, which is more than understandable from our side, but this point goes more, it's like more connected to the official communications on social media, or when we were posting a milestone, and also the reporting data that we discussed before. So that was everything. Then it's more about how you're going to evaluate your applications and all your application in general. There are 5 main criteria, starting with how much clarity and vision you have about the objectives. How are you going to do it? What are the means in order to meet all those objectives about the programs? What kind of program, where you want to be in 5 or 6 months in the program, from now, and so on. The second one is impact, which is how exactly are we going to achieve the expected outcomes and impacts. It's connected to the excellence as well. The third one, it's the uniqueness, which is the specific added value of the program for the local ecosystem. In many cases, you know the ecosystem better than anyone, at least in your country. So we want to see how exactly are you going to do that. How exactly are you going to, and why are you going to select this program and these startups, and so on. The last two, it's the EIT Climate-KIC portfolio strategic. How exactly all this program and the plan fit and is compliant with our principles. You will have the chance after we share the slides and the recording to read more about this knowledge triangle integration and in general our strategic agenda. But I believe that we have given already a really good and solid package of information about this. And yeah, lastly, it's the financial sustainability, which what we have seen so far, it's the most important element out of everything. So the financial sustainability, it's your capacity and your ability to finance the program, to cover all the expenses, allocate the resources effectively, in order like to show to us that you're ready, that you will have that you know the way to fundraise if you're not going to use like your own funds already from other initiatives, for example. So this is like quite important because we understand that it takes time. It takes time to create this added value for the program in order to like to go out there and fundraise. So this is like the most important element for us, how financially prepared and how financial sustainable you are about the program. All of them are compulsory. As you can see, there is like a minimum minimum threshold, I'm sorry, like 3 out of 6. So this is how exactly we're going to evaluate the proposals. You will see, and after that, we will invite each one of you that you will achieve like more than 3 on each category in specific one-to-one interviews in order to get you know better. And the last thing, it's the voluntary revenue share. As you understand, everything that we have said with Morten and Krista about the tools, about all these operations and all the support that we are delivering as Climate-KIC on a global level requires some resources, and we are responsible for that. This has a certain cost, so for that reason we have came up with this mechanism, these scales, which is corrected to your annual program turnover. As you can see, there are like 4. It depends of how what's the annual like turnover of the program. And it starts from less than 25,000 to 100. You can see all the different scales and what are the internal like thresholds. In this case, we are strongly recommend you, are strongly advised like to do that. It's not something that we're going like to create like a revenue or like create revenue for EIT Climate-KIC. It's something a bit more representative, like fee, let's call it like that, in order for us to continue our collaboration, to continue and offer all these great tools and all this knowledge that we have so far. So this is something that, of course, you can see by the end of the year in the reporting, and we'll open up the discussion during the end of the program. In case you want like to do that in the early in the beginning of the program, or it's part of your fundraising, that would be great. We can also like help you with all the fundraising process that you would like to do. So then a voluntary invoice will be sent early in the program in order like to do so. Of course, we are quite flexible around this. So tailor-made agreements from you and by you and us, it's also like possible to do. Then the next steps, the application deadline, it's the 16th of September at 9 Central European Summer Time, 9 in the morning. Of course, you need to translate that in your local regions and areas, like in each case. The assessment, everything is going to be based on the evaluation criteria that I just explained. And after that, with the people, with the partners that are going to have like a strong application, we will have an introductory call. I'm pretty sure that it won't feel like an interview, but it's going to meet you, want to see what exactly you are thinking and if our goals are met. But in any case, a comprehensive feedback will be sent to the rejected ones and so on. So from the ones that are going to also tick pass the interview, or we see that we have like a good fit, then will be an onboarding sessions. Most probably will be delivered by me along with some other team EIT Climate-KIC member, which explain you all these different elements on our entrepreneurship knowledge hub, that will have all these different tools, the handbooks that Krista already said, and all these tools and all these elements and milestones about the program. Of course, everything this is on Notion, so that link, the welcome package information, also redirects you to Notion. So everything is there. All this magic like happens there. So yeah, that's it. I believe I'm also sharing in the chat now the three links that you should follow. The first one, it's the apply here today. It's the link in order to submit the application. The second one, it's the expression of interest for organizers on our official webpage. We have created like a webpage where you can find most of the information about this initiative, about this program, about this call there. And the last one, it's the official call document where you can find as well a bit more detailed guide, especially around the themes and how we want like to move forward. So I believe that's it from our side. So now I think it's time for you. Okay, we're already like 10 minutes past, but yeah, if you have like any questions, please ask us now. Please let us know whenever we can help you. So yeah, the floor is yours now. Thank you. Either like post it